Thank you for tuning in to Conversations with Kendell Lanice. I'm your girl, Kendell Lanice. I hope everyone had a wonderful week this week. I did. My first niece, she turned 18 years old, and the next day was her high school graduation. So shout out to Anaya. So I went to New Jersey, and if you hear my voice going in and out, it's because I was screaming like a crazy fool for my niece. I was so excited to see her walk across that stage. And also, I'm a little swollen today, so if I look a little different, I think I got heat rash or I don't know what it is, but the show must go on. Today, I want to, before I introduce my guest, I just want to talk about, so if you're in the Baltimore area, DMV area, we're having a Baltimore County Community Resource Day. It's going to be free, a lot of free information, starting a small business, credit, investing yourself into instead of investing in your landlord, veterans resources, how to avoid foreclosure, money matters, which I'll be teaching tomorrow, 2 classes, fair housing, knowing your rights, renters' rights, making your home energy efficient, preventing lead poisoning, down payment and closing cost assistance, how to get approved for a loan, and services for seniors. So it is a free workshop. It will be held at Woodlawn High School tomorrow from 10 to 3 p.m. It is on a bus line, and it's plenty of parking, free parking. So we'll have food, we'll have classes. What else? Everything. So just stop by if you're in the Baltimore area, Baltimore County, DC, PG, Montgomery County. Please come and get a little bit of knowledge on a lot of different things. So it's called Be in the Know. I'm sure you probably can't see all of that. So stop by tomorrow from 10 to 3. Thank you. All right. So tonight's guest is Yvette Foreman, and she has a powerful, powerful testimony. She is here to share her story. She is a survivor in more ways than one, and she's sitting here looking pretty. So this is my shining star for today, Yvette Foreman. Welcome to Conversations, Yvette.
Kendell, thank you so much for having me here today. I do have a story. I am a breast cancer survivor, and I hope that the people who are out there listening actually take something back from this conversation today.
Absolutely, and I'm sure they will, because a lot of people think cancer is a death sentence. A lot of people, when they see the big C or hear that they have that, it's almost like they're dying. Do you agree with that?
Breast cancer is not a death sentence. As I said, I am a survivor, and most people who actually find that they have breast cancer are survivors too. My motto for breast cancer is early detection is the best protection.
It's so true. And I know you hear that all the time. People say it all the time. But it truly, truly is true. It's very true that if you know, then you can catch it early. But if you don't go get your mammograms and you don't have routine doctor's visits, it might go unnoticed.
Right. Every year, beginning at the age 40, you should actually have a mammogram. I had my mammogram every year faithfully. Results came back great, and I'm always happy.
See, and that's wonderful. And I had mine too. So I encourage all you women to go out and get your mammograms. I know there was a lot of confusion with mammograms, and I heard different things back and forth, like, should you get it every year? Should you get it every 2 years? Is the radiation affecting you? And I went to my doctor last week, and I asked her, and she said no, because early detection is everything. So a lot of people won't go yearly because they think the radiation. And I know with me, I did that. I waited for like a year and a half because people were scaring me about radiation. I'm like, you could get something from, cancer from radiation.
No, the breast exam is pretty painful. I won't deny that. It is a painful exam. However, there are new exams that are out there now.
Yeah.
So they have different type of breast exams that are not as painful, but it saves your life. So
right.
If you get your breast examined early, the likelihood of you dying from cancer is not going to happen. I was diagnosed at age 50. When I turned 50 years old, it was the best time of my life. I actually was recently divorced. My daughter was away at college.
Oh, so you were doing your thing.
I was having a wonderful time. I mean,
because I did see you at the Essence Music Festival in New Orleans.
That's exactly right.
Right.
As a matter of fact, one of my girlfriends who I went to that festival with is actually a survivor now.
Oh, wow.
But
wow.
at age 50, I was divorced. My daughter's at college. I celebrated my birthday doing things that I like. I like to travel.
Yeah.
So that's what I began to do.
Yeah.
My birthday was in June. I just had a birthday, by the way.
Me too.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Yeah. Same to you.
Anyway, so that was in June. Every year for the last 10 years prior to that, I actually got a mammogram. And this particular occasion, the doctor said, we see something.
So at that time when your doctor said, we see something, what was going through your mind? Like, what did you automatically think? Did you think about your child?
Well,
did you think about your life? What did you
no,
think about?
I pray a lot. And I know that
Amen.
with prayer, all things are possible.
Amen.
So when my doctor actually told me I had breast cancer, I did not question God. I did not say, why me? I didn't think this should not be happening to me. I just said, God, I know that you are in control and you're going to take care of this.
Now that's faith. That's having a strong faith, because most people do break down and they question God.
And I didn't question him. I didn't know why, because when I was diagnosed, I did not have a lump. I did not have any changes in my breast. I felt great. I was actually in the best health that I had ever been in my entire life.
Wow.
Because, I was turning 50.
Right.
So
50 and fabulous.
yes, I was 50 and
Right.
fabulous, and I was in the best shape ever. I
Wow.
mean, it was great. Everything was good. And when they said you had breast cancer,
Did your knees get weak?
no, because when you hear that you have breast cancer, I think you go into a different realm. You go
Right.
someplace else, and everything else just goes out of your mind.
Right.
But I just knew. I said, no, I actually felt that, God, you got this. I was not worried. I did not cry. I did not say, why me? I did
Isn't
not
that
break
something?
down. I did not do any of that. I just had a peace. I don't know.
Because you knew God had you and you were
I
going to
didn't
be
question
all right.
it. Yeah, I did
Right.
not question it at all. I did not question God. But when I got home, I almost drove myself insane.
Wow, what did you do?
I went on the internet.
Oh yeah, internet will make you think that you're dying like in 5 minutes, because it's all the possibilities. What did you see when you got online?
Well, I think I recall the doctor saying you had stage 0 cancer, and I'm thinking stage 0, I don't know what that means. So I started doing research. I started looking at the different stages, the different types, the different forms, because as I said before, I did not have a lump. I
Right.
did not have any change in my breast, and I'm thinking that when you have breast cancer, there's something there that's going to tell you.
And that's what I thought. That's not so. What they saw something in the mammogram.
They saw
what
a
did
mass.
they see?
They saw just a
okay.
small mass.
But it wasn't raised, so you couldn't feel it. It wasn't a knot.
If you ever looked at a breast exam, when you look at the inside of the breast from the film that they show you, they're little white dots. And one of the reasons that they explained to me that they do not do or perform mammograms before you get to age 40 is because the density of your breast will not
Yeah.
allow them to see what they see in
Yeah.
older women who are over 40.
I've heard
and they
that.
saw some white dots that looked abnormal. So
they waited. I know when you get a mammogram, typically you wait for the male to come and to see that you're clear. But you got a phone call?
no, from my experience, when you have your mammogram, when I have my mammograms, prior to being diagnosed with breast cancer, they actually have the mammogram. The technician does the mammogram, and they send the film to, I believe, a radiologist who
Right.
actually looks at the film, and you're sitting there waiting. Generally, I go for my mammogram, I sit there and wait, and they say you can put your clothes on, and
Right,
you may leave.
exactly,
That's
right,
the normal
right.
procedure. On this occasion, I'm sitting there and I'm waiting, and I'm sitting there and I'm waiting, and I'm in the waiting room, and then they say, we have to do another test.
Wow.
So I sit there and wait, and I sit there and wait, and they tell me I can put my clothes on, but I cannot leave. So I sit there and wait, and I sit there and wait again, and then they ask me to come into.
So were you nervous? Did you automatically assume? I think
I figured
see
something was
something.
wrong, but there have been occasions where they have called me back to do a mammogram, and they did not see anything.
because it was inconclusive,
Because it was
maybe or
inconclusive.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they have called me back. So, I'm thinking, here it is again.
Routine, right.
They're going to call me
Right,
back for this
right.
test. So I was just sitting there. I was like, God, I have things to do. I cannot sit here. I wish they would just tell me what's going on.
Right.
So when they called me back, they said, you have breast cancer, stage 0.
So when they called you back, the same day you had your mammogram,
The same day I had my
they
mammogram.
told you that you had breast cancer.
Well, no. The same day that I
They
came back,
saw
she said
the
she saw
mass.
the mass.
Okay.
She said she saw the mass.
Okay.
I got a paper in the mail asking me to come in for a biopsy.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came in for the biopsy, they pretty much can tell when you have breast cancer. I'm sure they knew that day that I was in the radiologist's office, but they are not the people who can
Right.
actually tell you your
Right.
diagnosis at that time. So they told me, so they called me back, and I was at a radiology facility. I wasn't at a doctor's office.
Right.
I was at a radiology facility, and they called me back, and they had me to meet with the doctor.
Like Quest or American Radiology
Yes,
or something
yes,
like that.
uh-huh.
Advanced, yeah.
It was advanced radiology
Okay.
in Owings Mills. So they had me to come back, and they reviewed my films with me and told me that we believe that you have breast cancer. We recommend that you go to this doctor. They initially referred me to the hospital in Randallstown.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually went home and I said, God, I don't know what you're trying to tell me, but I know that you got this. I said, I'm going to be okay, and I know that I'm going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
I can't explain it.
Right.
But
it was a comfort that you had.
I know
you knew
a
that
lot
God
of
was going to
sisters
take care of it.
who go through breast cancer
Mm-hmm.
treatment, and they're like, God, why me? Why do you
Right.
have to do this to me?
That's the typical response.
But all I can think of is if I had to have this diagnosis, this was the best time of my life. I was single. I was home alone. I had a stable job. And since I'm in control, I thought that I could take care of this.
Right.
So,
Well, I titled this show My Quiet Journey for a reason, because Yvette and I have worked together, not directly, but indirectly for many years. And nobody had any idea that she was going through this. When you saw her, you were always upbeat. You were always happy. You gave hugs. You were your normal self. Like, I had no idea that she was going through this. And my boss and I think we found out at the same time and had no idea. And I think at that point, you had already been through radiation and all of that.
well,
Why did you keep it so close? And I don't fault you for that, but why did you feel like you wanted to deal with it privately or maybe not share to certain people that you were going through this journey?
it wasn't the fact that I didn't want to share.
Mm-hmm.
I just had so much pride, and I'm so used to taking care of me.
Yeah.
I take care of me. I remember when I got divorced, and I shared it with some of my coworkers, and they fell apart. And I'm thinking,
They fell apart for you.
I said, it's
Right.
okay. And
People
I'm
will
thinking,
make it worse.
I am okay. It's
Yeah.
not. It's really not that bad as you think it
Yeah.
is. I said, so now I have another challenge in my life, and I trust God. I trust God in everything that I do. I really trust God. And
I mean,
said,
you really
I
trust
do.
God.
I trust God.
And that's the thing, because people say that they trust God. They trust God's decisions. They put their lives in God's hands, and they know that they're going to be taken care of. It's different from saying that, because a lot of people say that, but deep down in their feet, they might still take it from God, give it back, let go and let God. But most people kind of take it back, let go, take it back, and they have that struggle. And even the most faithful people tend to question God sometimes. So why do you think why is your faith so strong?
Because I've had so many other things going on in my life where so many other people would have been directly impacted had it happened at that time.
Right.
But he chose this time for it to happen to me.
For a reason.
For a reason. And I don't know what that reason is. Only he knows. So I said, I'm not going to question it because it was his decision.
Right.
So I sort of accepted it, because when you hear you have cancer, you're still in outer space, if you will.
Right.
You're still
Did you feel like you were, when you heard you had cancer, did you feel like it was you, or was it an outer body, or did you really digest that, or you got it when they said that?
I felt it was me. Yeah, I got it that it was me.
Okay.
But what I got more importantly was that it was me, and I was in a place in my life and a time in my life where I was going to have to deal with this, and the only way I was going to get through it is with God and with prayer. There was nothing else. There was no one else.
There was no choice.
I was no choice.
Right. Now, you have a daughter, right?
Yeah, I have a daughter.
Did you tell your daughter?
Well, when I first was diagnosed, and after I went to American Radiology, and they told me to go to Northwest, I said, let me call my primary care physician to make sure that I am going to go through the proper steps that I need to go through in order to survive this. Because I knew I was going to survive it.
Okay, amen.
So I contacted my doctor, and she scheduled me in immediately. And I came in, and she said, let's talk. She says, you're going to be okay. She says, I know that you're going to be okay. Now, I've only been seeing this doctor for about 2 years. She says, I know you're going to be okay. She says, matter of fact, I'm sending you to my doctors.
Wow.
My primary care physician is a breast cancer survivor.
Wow.
Until I called her to tell her that I had breast cancer, I had been seeing her for 2 years. I had no knowledge whatsoever that she, too, was a breast cancer survivor.
Isn't that something? But that's how God works. God sets you up for what you're about to go through. He puts people in your life that will assist you through your journey. And at that time, you think you just chose another doctor. Yes. You just think that these people are coming into your life for no reason. Yes. But God, and I say this all the time because I'm a passionate type person. Like, I can feel something in me just by saying that and just hearing that. Because sometimes people do question God, and they ask, why do I leave this job? Why do I have cancer? Why did this person come in your life? God sets that up. God already has your life mapped out.
Yes, he does.
When you're born, God knows exactly what you're going to go through, who's going to be in your life, and what type of issues and problems, if you will, or if I don't even know if I want to say problems, but ailments. God knows, and God prepares us by putting the people in our lives that are positive, that can help us through this journey, because God knows we can't do it alone. We always have God, but sometimes you need somebody right here to kind of help direct you.
Yes, you do.
And do you think, because I believe that's God speaking through these people.
It is God. Not only was she a breast cancer survivor, we're the same age. She has one child.
Wow.
I'm from Philadelphia.
Look at God.
She went to school in Philadelphia when I was
there. Wow, and she's in Baltimore. So
now
you
she's in Baltimore.
Isn't
right
that
around
something?
the corner from where I work right
Isn't
now.
That something?
So, excuse me. We sat down and we spoke, and she gave me recommendations, and I already had recommendations from the other doctors. So I followed up on those recommendations. Again, I continued to go on the internet, and I shouldn't have, but I also went to workshops. I went to all my doctor's appointments. When you're diagnosed, you go through a lot of different treatments and a lot of different tests, including biopsies, blood work. There are just so many different tests and so many different doctors that you have to see in order to determine what type of treatment that you want.
Wow.
And out of every doctor and every appointment that I went to, no one ever told me what I had to do. They always gave me my options. They never said what I had to do.
So you decided what was best for you. So let me ask you this. Are you the only one in your family? Like, was this a shock to you? No one in your family had cancer, and all of a sudden you have cancer?
No, I have a family history.
So it runs rampant in your family.
My mother is a 9-year breast cancer survivor.
Wow.
And I didn't want to tell her. I didn't want to tell my sister. I have sisters. I have brothers. My dad had died earlier that year from lung cancer.
Wow.
So, here I am. I had 2 uncles who just recently died. My dad died.
All of cancer.
My daughter's went away from college.
Wow.
I'm recently divorced, and I have breast cancer.
Wow.
So I said, God, I know you got this. So I determined that I was going to do this on my own until one day, I guess I was diagnosed in
They said,
August.
tell God your plans, and that's how you can make God laugh. Let
me tell you, he laughed at me really good.
Right.
When I say he laughed at me really
right.
good, because I was diagnosed in August, and by the time I got to the surgeon who was going to do the surgery that I thought that I wanted to have, she told me, she says, Yvette, I've been meeting with you for quite some time. However, I'm no longer going to see you unless you bring someone with you to your doctor's appointment.
Thank you. What's the doctor's name?
Her name is Dr. Beatty from Mercy
Thank you,
Hospital.
Dr. Beatty, because I think it's important. But sometimes women, we wear that S on our chest and we can handle everything. We got this. And it's almost like you're suffering in silence or going through something on your own when that was your choice, like you didn't have to. But a lot of women are prideful. They don't want to share everything with everybody. And I get that. But I'm glad she said that to you. So what did you
And
say when she said that?
I remember her telling me, she says, Yvette, you will survive, but you do need someone by your side.
Right.
And I'm not going to see you anymore
That's
until
right.
you bring somebody with
Thank
you.
you.
And that was in October. So finally in October, my cousin, who, you know how there's this person who knows everything about you, who knows everything about you, who knows everything about you.
Right.
So I called that cousin.
It's always that one person.
And I said, Natalie, I have breast cancer. As I said before, we have a history of.
So you just, hello, Natalie, I have breast cancer?
I called Natalie. I said, Natalie, I have breast cancer.
Oh,
she says, Yvette, she says, my God, let's pray. That's the first thing she said. Because my cousin Natalie's mother died from breast cancer. And my cousin Natalie's mother was my mother's first cousin.
So that's very important. So it's running rampant in your family. So you were already almost predisposed to have that, or the likelihood was great.
Exactly.
And that's for everyone out there. If cancer runs in your family, just don't assume that it's going to skip you, especially if your parents have cancer. You're at high risk of having cancer. Am I correct?
You're correct. And one of the things that I found out by trying to do it on my own, once my cousin started going to my doctor's appointments with me, and we would come from the appointment and we would have a discussion as to what the doctor said. And I would say, oh, no, they didn't say that. They just said I had breast cancer. She says, yes, Yvette, but you have to get past the point that you have breast cancer and decide what you're going to do. And I realized at that point, I really was not listening to anything that the doctors were telling me. I just still, in my mind, have not moved past the fact that I have breast cancer. So she started going to my appointments with me, and I started recording what the doctors were saying.
Wow, good.
I started to determine there are certain type of treatments. Everybody who has breast cancer is different. There are no two people with a breast cancer diagnosis who are the same.
Okay, I just want to give the definition of cancer here, because you hear about it all the time, but do you really know what it is? Cancer is a group of disease characteristics. I always get so nervous when I read. I'm sorry. Cancer is a group of diseases by the uncontrolled growth and spread of abnormal cells. If the spread is not controlled, it can be a result in death. Cancer is caused by external factors such as tobacco, infectious organisms, and unhealthy diet, and internal factors such as inherited genetic hormones and immune conditions. These are factors that act together or in a sequence to cause the cancer. 10 or more years often pass between exposure to external factors and detectable cancer. Treatments include surgery, radiation, chemotherapy, hormone therapy, immune therapy, and targeted therapies such as drugs and specific drugs that interfere with cancer cells.
Tamoxifen is one of the drugs.
Okay.
The maintenance drugs that I currently take. And when I began to take tamoxifen, they said I would have to take it for 5 years. And August 30th, 2015 would be my 5-year anniversary. However, they have increased it for another 5 years. The reason behind them increasing it, I've been told by my doctor and other physicians, is that it helps to prevent ovarian cancer, and a lot of breast cancer survivors do develop ovarian cancer.
Okay, so I went on cancer.org, and I just wanted to give some facts and figures for 2015. In Maryland alone, there are 30,050 new cancer cases. That sounds like a lot. I looked at New Jersey, 51,410. Virginia, 41,170. Pennsylvania, 81,540. California, 172,090 new cases of cancer. I mean, if you go to cancer.org, you can learn everything you need to know about cancer. And then also I went on the Susan G. Komen website, and I just wanted to see what the rate was between African-American women and white women. So breast cancer in African-American women, now this is the thing that got me. The risk is lower for white women, but the risk of dying from breast cancer in African-American women is higher. Reason being, A lot of African American women don't get mammograms or
because
insurance.
they think they don't have insurance. However, there are mammograms available for you whether or not you have insurance, whether you live in Baltimore City, Baltimore County, or throughout the United States.
Yeah.
You can get a mammogram if you do not have
Yeah.
insurance. Most African American women die from breast cancer. More Caucasian women are diagnosed with breast
Yes.
cancer, but more African American women die from breast cancer because we do not get the treatment that we need. Early detection is the best protection from this disease. If I can say anything to anybody, please get your mammogram.
Absolutely.
It is not a death sentence.
And a mammogram is simply an X-ray image of your breast tissue.
Exactly.
And it's determined to determine if you have cancer. So I just want to tell everyone, I mean, all women, but African American women, please get tested. Get your mammograms because early detection is truly everything. So we are lower in numbers as African American women to have breast cancer, but we're the ones dying.
We are.
And check your local, like Yvette said, your local cities, your counties, your states to try to find free health care because a lot of clinics, doctors' offices, hospitals, even they have the truck going around.
They do.
I know in some cities where you can get a free mammogram. It is painful, but I'm sure it's not as painful as going through radiation or having cancer just in itself.
Well, they do have a new type of mammogram that's out, and I'm sure it has a lot to do with insurances and the doctor that you have, but it's a digital mammography.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
I've asked about that. I'm sure it has something, again, to do with insurance, but it is an alternative to, and I'm going to use this term lightly, getting your pancakes smashed because a mammogram is painful.
It really is.
It's painful. However, it's just a small moment in time where they're going to look at the film from the inside of your breast. And I belong to a breast cancer support group called The Journey Continues, and we have a discussion about what we are going through as we take this journey. And it's surprising enough that a lot of people find out that they have breast cancers because their lumps are discovered by their partners.
I've heard that. And I think it's also extremely important to talk about your organization as she just did. I really think that it's important to have a support group, somebody that's going through that and understands.
Yes,
because, I mean, thank the Lord, I haven't experienced that, so I can understand, I can sympathize, I can empathize, and I could be there to pray for you, hold your hand, but I truly don't know physically and mentally what you're going through.
A support group.
The support groups, they know.
It's awesome to have a support group. When I first was diagnosed, I met a group of sisters who were in a breast cancer organization, and we had a picnic.
Sisters or sisters?
Sisters.
With the A?
Yes.
Okay.
And it was funny. I met this young lady, and we were going to go get a snowball. And
for those of you that aren't in Baltimore, snowballs it's almost like Italian ice or shaved ice.
Right.
Because I know in Jersey, snowballs were different.
Right.
It's not, so it's like, that's a big thing in Baltimore. So if you're from Baltimore, you know what she's talking about.
And it was just a hot day. And I met her, and just knowing that I was a survivor too, she told me about her breast cancer story. And like me, not wanting to tell anybody, she shared it with me. Like me, not wanting to tell anybody, I just shared it with my cousins. So finally, I had to tell my family.
What was that? Okay. So your family has experienced and heard this message, this diagnosis a million times.
Yes.
So did you sit your family down to tell them, or did you just call them on the phone, or was it a family meeting?
Me being the person that I am, I decided this is how it's going to work.
Okay.
Okay. I told my family that I had breast cancer. I told them the treatment that I was going to get. I asked them to support me in all of this, and they said that they would. I told my friends that I had breast cancer, and I had a meeting with all of them to say, I'm going to do this. I want you to come here.
So you had a professional meeting.
I had a professional meeting.
An agenda. You probably had an agenda typed up or written.
I didn't go that far,
okay.
But I did have it set up as to who was going to do what. and who was going to come when,
Wow.
who was going to help me to do this. And
Wow.
God just laughed at me so profoundly that it was unbelievable. But what actually happened is just overwhelming. When I say that God has everything in control, God has everything in
You're
control.
about to make me cry, Yvette.
I told my coworkers that I was going out of work and I was going to have a breast reduction and a tummy tuck.
This lady is going through cancer,
And
fighting cancer, the fight of her life, and she tells nobody. She says she's going to get a breast reduction and a tummy tuck. So when you came back, you had the same size breast. Maybe your stomach was the same.
I wasn't exactly the same, but that's not what was so overwhelming, because I know that God is in control, but I know that He has plans for our life.
That's right.
And I thought that I was going to be okay, and I was going to be able to get through this with my friends and people coming in and leaving and doing the schedule that I planned. But I have a sister. My sister lost her only son, my nephew, to gun violence. And when my cousin...
I remember that. Didn't they do like a television? Wasn't it a series or a show or
yeah,
something?
she was on Lisa Ling.
Yes, I
They interviewed
remember.
her.
Yeah, I do. I remember that. Isn't that something?
They interviewed her on Lisa Ling. And they actually just went to the White House, her organization's Mothers in Charge.
And is
They
it
went
out
to
of
the White House.
Philadelphia?
It's out of Philadelphia.
Okay.
They have chapters throughout the United States. They're trying to get one here in Maryland. But my sister, Stephanie, and my cousin and all the family and friends that I told how this was going to work had plans of their own.
Of course.
They had all gotten together and said that they are going to support me through this. And the surgery that I end up having was a mastectomy,
Okay.
which means the removal of my breast.
Okay.
Where
Did you just have to have one?
I had one done, but yeah, I had one breast removed.
Okay.
And the procedure was to remove the tissue from my stomach and put it back in my breast, which gave me
The tummy tuck.
a tummy tuck.
Isn't that something?
And as I used to have my friends to go to my doctor's
Look at
appointments
God.
with me, they
You
asked,
still end up with your
if I could
tummy
use
tuck.
some of their tissue. But however, I'm laughing about it now, but it was a 10-hour procedure.
Wow.
And throughout my entire 10-hour procedure, all my family and friends that I did not want to share this with
We're in the
waiting room the whole entire time.
That's beautiful. And see, look at all of that support.
Yeah, and like God says, you're a mother, a daughter, a sister, you're my child. I am not going to let you go this alone.
And you shouldn't. You really, Yvette, you really shouldn't have. I'm so glad. I'm just so glad you had those people there. Your family. That's when you're going through something like this. This is truly what your family and your friends are for. They're there to rally around you and to support you, and just even if they don't say a word, just to let you know that they're there.
Yes.
Because that has to be comforting as you're getting wheeled in, to know that they're all out there.
And it's so important
in support of you.
To use your family and your support group. In my mind, I was thinking, I don't want to disrupt their lives. They all live in another state. They would have to stop doing what they needed to do in order to come here and take care of me. And I did not want that to
Yvette.
happen. But my sister Stephanie, she moved in with me. She was just a blessing. We cried. We prayed. Most of the time, it was when she was either draining my tubes, changing my bandages. She took care of me like she was a nurse. And she did not. I guess you can tell from me saying I had made arrangements for this and this and this to happen, or these steps to take place. So they know how I am. And not only did she take care of me, she took care of my house. She made sure everything was in place. She took care of my dog.
Stephanie, we really honor you. Tell your sister.
My sister knows how much I love her.
Stephanie, you are a blessing. All that you've gone through, and how you're just able to just be there for your sister. That's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. Can you imagine going through this without Stephanie? Seriously?
I could not have made it without her. I can just.
Is she older or younger?
We're 15 months apart. She's younger than me.
Oh, wow.
I'm the older sister. And I mean, to go through breast cancer reconstruction and to go through breast cancer surgery, you have open wounds in your body. And to have someone to come in and to be able to help you and to see this and to bathe you, to cook for you and do everything for you,
she has to pack the wounds, right?
Amazing. Yes. And I used
without
to say,
a nursing background, just a love background.
Yes, she did. And there were often times where we would just sit in the bathroom and we'd just cry and we would just pray, but we would get through it. We would definitely get through it. And
so how long ago let the people know how long ago was this?
So this was in January. I was diagnosed August 30th, 2010. January 27th, and these are dates you'll never forget.
It's been 5 years.
January 27th, 2011 was when I had 11th is when I had my surgery, and Nurse Stephanie took good care of me. Not only did she take good care of me, when my friends came over to visit, she entertained them. When my pastor came over to visit, she prayed with them. She ran my house as if there was no question.
So she took off work, came to Maryland from Philadelphia,
and took care of me.
How long did she stay?
She stayed with me until February, and when she needed a break, and I know that she did because I'm not an easy person to deal with, as you can imagine. My cousin actually came.
Because you wanted to still run the show.
Yes. My cousin actually came and took her place. So
wow.
Without family and friends to support you through this journey, and without God, it's impossible. So don't keep it a secret. Share your story. Share what you're going through with your family and with your friends.
Because you need that support. My grandmother is a breast cancer survivor. Amen. She's 95 now.
Amen.
She had a double mastectomy. This was in the 80s, and she's still here, y'all.
Yeah.
She had stage 4 colon cancer. She's still here. I call her the Energizer Bunny. Grandma, shout out to you if you're listening or watching or catch the replay. But she's the Energizer Bunny.
Yes.
And that's what I want people to understand and know. A lot of people want to be ignorant to the fact because they don't want to face the possibility of having cancer. A lot of people don't want to go get tested, don't want to go to the doctor, they don't want to get a mammogram because they're afraid of the unknown. They don't want to hear those words, you have cancer. And I get that. But African American women, we're dying. We're dying not because we couldn't be saved, but because we're too stubborn or scared to go to the doctor. And it's very important. I mean, we'll probably say this 2 or 3 times in the show, but it's very important that you get your mammograms. You need to know what's going on with your body. And Yvette's sitting here looking just as pretty today. She is a survivor. You're welcome. She's a survivor. She went through radiation.
Well, actually,
No,
everybody is different with the diagnosis.
Okay.
I was truly blessed.
Okay.
I actually had, as I said, a mastectomy.
Okay.
And this procedure is called a deep flap. My tissue removed and replaced, and I did not have to have any chemotherapy or radiation.
I was gonna ask you because I don't remember your hair. I remember you pretty much looking the same.
Because I did not have to get chemotherapy or radiation.
Is that because it was
early detection
early?
Is the best protection? And when I was initially diagnosed, I was diagnosed at stage 0. I did not even know that stage 0 was a stage for breast cancer.
I didn't know that either. I thought it was 1 through 4.
It was stage 0. By the time I had my surgery, I was at stage 1.
So from the time that you found out, what was the time frame in between the time that you found out and then that stage 1?
Well,
like how long?
Was in August. I found out I was at stage 1. I had my surgery in January. So between August and January, I went from stage 0 to stage 1.
Wow.
And
think about if you didn't get your mammogram, how fast that would have ran through your body.
It would have grown.
Wow. So that is a difference right there when you just said that, to get it once a year. Because had you waited 18 months, 6 more months, It could have been at stage 3, possibly 4.
Exactly.
Wow.
And when I first was diagnosed, in my mind, I was going to get a lumpectomy.
Okay. That I was going to ask you. Okay.
Yeah, I went to the doctor, and I was going to get a lumpectomy. And my girlfriend went with me to the hospital. I was in the operating room, hooked up to the machines. And
lumpectomy was just
a lumpectomy is where they would go in. They would
and take out the lump.
They would go in and take out the lump.
Okay.
And that's what similar to what a lumpectomy is.
Because you didn't think about getting their whole breast removed.
Right, because I was trying to figure out again how not to inconvenience everybody and the fastest possible way for me to get my treatment. And I was on the operating table, and that would have been a quick treatment, but had I gotten a lumpectomy, I would have had to have radiation.
Right. Oh, because they want to make sure it didn't spread.
Exactly. So if I've gotten a lumpectomy, I would have had to have radiation.
So it was contained to the one breast.
It was contained to the one breast. It was actually contained in my nipple of my breast.
Wow.
So it had not spread too far out of that area, so they would have been able to go in and pretty much so have gotten that area where it was contained.
The areola area.
Yeah, exactly. And there's something, if you ever were diagnosed, you hear clear margins, so they have to make sure that they get it all.
Okay.
And one of the options was to get a lumpectomy, but you have to have radiation. And I decided on the operating table that I don't think I want to do this.
You decided.
I was on the operating table, and I said, I don't think that I want to do this. And I told my girlfriend, I said, get the doctor. I remember saying, get the doctor. She says, get the doctor. You know, she's nervous. And I said, yes, please get the doctor. She says, what's wrong? I said, I don't think I want to do this.
You just wanted to, you changed your mind. You wanted just to take the whole.
Yes.
Okay. So I know a lot of women go through this when they're dealing with breast cancer. I've talked to, actually, I ran into you at a breast cancer event. Remember the fashion show?
Yes.
Before. So I'm very, I would like to be very active, more active. I want to do your run. We talked about that. Mm-hmm. But a lot of women take pride in their boobies.
Yes.
A lot of women, that's associated in some sense with sexuality, womanhood, filling out your clothes, feeling a certain way about yourself. So did you think about any of that before you, or you just were like, I want that cancer gone?
The doctor talked to me about my options, but I thought about my mother. My mother is a 9-year breast cancer survivor. My mother had a lumpectomy. My mother had to go through radiation and chemotherapy. Mm-hmm. And I just thought about how we were there to go with her. And my mother's cared for by my sister, Stephanie.
Stephanie is like an angel walking on this earth.
And how my mother had to go through radiation and chemotherapy, and how she had to have a support team to go with her through that. And here I am again going through this, knowing that I have the support, so much support and love, thinking that I don't want to inconvenience anybody like that. But on the other hand, if I got the mastectomy, chances are I would be cancer-free immediately and it would be done. So when the doctor came in and I said I didn't want to do this, she says, well, what do you want to do? And I told her I wanted to
just remove
do the mastectomy. And she said, no problem. We will reschedule.
So, okay, so you had, I know you have to get your mental capacity together when you're just going into surgery, period.
Yeah.
So you already went through all of that, doing all your praying, I'm sure, and just being at peace with whatever God's will is. So you're already on the table, you're getting ready to have this procedure, and then it stops.
Yes. And all I can think about is not to be anxious for anything, but just trust God.
Yeah.
And you'll get a peace.
Yeah.
You'll get a peace about it. So I didn't do the lumpectomy. I went through with the 10-hour surgery. And
10 hours.
10 hours. It was 10 hours. Because during the surgery, they had to remove the tissue, remove the breast, get the pathology reports to make sure that the cancer is in fact gone. And it was a success.
When you come out, it was a success. You hear that? She's here. It was a success. So when after you came out of surgery, your family was there.
Yes.
Did you, going through this process, did your faith become stronger? Because it seems like you had strong faith to begin with, but did it become stronger?
It became
surviving
stronger.
This?
It became stronger, but the pain was so real after the surgery. The pain was
Let's
so
talk
real.
about that.
The pain is unbelievable. I have a daughter. I mentioned that I have one daughter.
How old is she?
And I thought she'll be 24 on the 29th of this month.
Okay.
And I thought the childbirth pain was bad, but the recovery from the surgery was bad because I did not want to take the medication. I took the medication in the beginning because it had you so
loopy.
I was so spaced out. I had no idea what was going on, but I did take it because I knew that I had my family there taking care of me.
So would it have been as painful if you would have taken the medicine? Or is it just painful recovery?
It's a painful recovery because of
I don't hear a lot of, I guess people are so thankful that they don't have cancer any longer. I never really hear about that recovery process.
The recovery process is unbelievable. The pain that you have to go through, the maintenance that you have to, the care that you have to, the attention that you have to do to the wounded areas is really unbelievable.
How long did it take for you to recover, just go through that recovery process?
I would say the recovery took about a good 3 months because there are stages. And the actual, after you heal, you still have to go through the reconstruction part of your body to get you back to normal again. And you go through visiting with many doctors. You go through reconstructing your breast even though you had the tissue. And actually, I don't know how people imagine a mammogram to be, but they don't slice your breast off.
Okay, I'm going to just describe it, just my version of a mammogram. Latoya, you've had mammograms?
You talking about the actual? No.
A mammogram?
No, not
okay, so I'm going to break it on down. Latoya's over here. Okay, she has her show, Women on Fire, every Sunday at 1:00. So I just want to shout you out. But okay, so you go into, and I know it might be slightly different for everyone. Don't say, "Well, mine didn't go like that."
Everybody's
but you
different.
go in. Of course, you remove your clothes, you put on your gown, and then you walk into. Sometimes it's a large room or a small room, and they have this big contraption. That's the X-ray machine. So there's a plate on there. There's a compressor. It's a plate. So they literally, I'm not joking, they lift your breast up. So even if you're not that tall, they lift your breast up. They place it on the plate, and that compressor comes down. Now they have to, it almost is like a pancake.
It's a pancake,
because
man.
they have to spread your breast. It sounds so crazy, but they spread it so they can see every part of your breast. So they smash it down, and it hurts for a good 30 seconds. Just imagine. They smash it down so your breast, no matter how size your boobie is, it'll flatten on that plate. And sometimes the plate is cold.
Yes.
And you're sitting there like this. You're really like this. You're not handling your own breast, by the way. You're like this. And the X-ray technician puts her hand. First of all, it's weird for somebody to put their hand on your breast, right?
So it's an uncomfortable experience.
It is. They put your hand. So you're sitting there like this. I don't know about you. I just be like. And they put your breast on there and they smash it down. Now, sometimes they got to do it more than once to make sure they got everything. And then they look at it to make sure they got every part. And if they don't, you do it again. Then you do the same with the second breast. It could be once and you're done, or twice, because they want to make sure they get the full breast. So it really smashes down so they can see everything. And then also when you go to your doctor, when you go to the gynecologist, or if you have your family practitioner, they check. They should give you breast exams when you get your pap smear, ladies.
Yes, you should.
And if they don't, something is wrong. They should. And you should also check your own breast. And like you said, a lot is discovered by a partner, by your husband, a boyfriend, whoever. They usually find the lump because they tend to know your breast better than you, I guess.
That's a true statement.
Right,
that's
it's
a very
true.
statement.
And then they also say, do it in the shower while you're wet. I've heard that, laying back. And you kind of just put the two fingers.
Your fingertips.
Yep, on your breast. And you kind of just go around.
Exactly.
Like that. You can do it in the shower with one. You got to put the arm up, though, because you need to feel the whole breast. And that's a self-examination. And that should be done on a regular basis. So if you know your breasts, ladies, you see them every day. They're attached to you. If something is odd, if there's some type of knot or a
have it checked out.
Yeah, if it's deformed in a sense or there's fluid, anything,
you
need to go to the doctor. I would rather the doctor tell me it's nothing than to just think it's nothing and not go to the doctor.
Exactly.
So early detection, I'm trying to tell you.
It is.
And if it runs in your family, I know typically, like Yvette said, that when you hit 40, you go get your mammogram. But if it runs in your family and if your parents have it, you need to inquire about getting your mammogram a little earlier than 40.
Right.
Because I have people that I went to high school with at 25, they had breast cancer.
There are so many more young ladies now who are being diagnosed.
Yeah.
Since I have been diagnosed, I've gone through my treatment, and I'm now a breast cancer survivor. Not only am I a survivor, I'm an advocate.
That's right.
So everybody that I now know, everybody that I now see, I ask them if they've gotten their mammogram.
I should have Destiny's Child song on right now. I'm a survivor.
I am. And I actually belong to a breast cancer support group.
It's called
The Journey Continues.
I know you probably can't see this.
We aim to make an impact
post it to Facebook
on the lives of women who are going through breast cancer. We meet once a month, the second Thursday of every month.
Is this African American support group?
It's an African American support group, but we aim to support people who want to just talk about and know more. It's a group who we aim to dispel any myths and unknown facts and support women who are going through this journey. We meet to sit down and share our stories and our testimonies and to understand why this disease is killing so many of our Black women. We meet to go to communities and churches to just be there as a source so people can see that they don't have to die from breast cancer, that you can live
not a death sentence.
With breast cancer. It is not a death sentence. So when you hear the doctor says you have breast cancer, you don't think that I'm going to die from cancer.
Okay, I want to say this again. African American women were less likely than white women to get regular mammograms. That's why African American women are dying more rapidly than white women. Now, white women have a higher percentage of women getting breast cancer, but more Black women are dying.
Right. So we are here.
You guys hear what I'm saying? Not because we're getting it more than our counterparts. It's because we're not going to the doctor. We're thinking that nothing is wrong, or maybe insurance. But check your local areas, because I'm trying to tell you, they even have those trucks where they come around and you can get free mammograms. You can get free mammograms with any insurance. And now a lot of doctors' offices inquire, go to your local clinic, the hospitals. A lot of them are really enforcing early detection, and they are giving free mammograms. Now, I know you talked about the new digital way. I go to UB. I'm not sure if you knew that, but I have a girl in my class that works, I forgot where I think she works for Franklin Square Hospital, but they have the new digital. But she was saying that if you have state insurance or certain insurances, they won't let you get that. And I think, and that's supposed to be like incredible. Yes. Like you're supposed to, but I think, I don't even want to talk about insurance, but I think that's how unfair is that?
It is unfair that we don't get the treatment that we deserve for lack of having insurance. But as far as a mammogram is concerned, you can get a mammogram if you do not have insurance. And that is one of the reasons why I'm so involved with The Journey Continues, because we provide care, advocacy, resources, and education for people or for women, and men get breast cancer too, who have no idea about the effects and the treatment and how you can survive breast cancer. There are men who get breast cancer.
Hello. And I was going to say, I'm glad you said that. Men, you have statistic there?
No, I
men
don't. Might.
It's becoming very prominent for men to have breast cancer. I don't know, you guys remember Shaft, Richard Roundtree. He had breast cancer. And he said he's a breast cancer survivor. He said people laughed at him when he said he had breast cancer. Men have breast tissue just like women have breast tissue. Some men have more breast tissue than some women, really. Right. But he has it. Look it up. I'm trying to tell you, go to cancer.org or Susan G. Coleman's website. There are a lot of men. So men, this is not a ladies' show right now.
Right. And if you have a mother or sisters who have breast cancer, you can too get breast cancer. I have a neighbor who is the only male, and his mother and 3 sisters have breast cancer. He was treated, and he does not have breast cancer. Also, there's genetic testing for breast cancer. I actually got the test because we have such a high history of breast cancer.
So it's important to know your family's history,
yes, it's
your
very
family's
important
medical
to know
history.
Your family's history.
It is very important on both sides because some people may not know their father's side and they know their mother's, but it's very important. I wanted to ask you, so through this journey, what have you learned about yourself?
What I've learned about myself is that
I
can only do things through Christ. I can never, ever try to do this alone.
Amen.
I want to tell everybody and anybody to please encourage all your family, friends, and loved ones to get a mammogram. I want to continue to share my story. And by sharing my story and telling people that you can survive breast cancer, I receive so much support. As I said, I belong to the Journey Continues, a breast cancer support organization. And I also support Susan Coleman. I actually participate in their event every year, and I have a team of people who support me in this event, and we walk together and we raise money and we have a good time and getting the word out getting the word out about breast cancer. I speak about breast cancer so much that at work I have breast cancer fundraisers. I have a big pink tree in my office. I have name tags where you can donate $1 and put your loved one's name on the tree.
That's incredible.
My coworkers support me so much in this effort, and my employer does too. And they ask me every year, "What are you doing this year?" And this year, I'm getting the word out even more. This year, I have been faced with the challenge that my best girlfriend is now a breast cancer survivor. My aunt has just finished her last radiation treatment from breast cancer. My coworker who supports me in my efforts to spread the word about breast cancer is out right now having her final stages of her reconstruction process. So breast cancer is not a death sentence. I am not as up to date on the facts and figures as I used to be when I was first diagnosed, but 5 years ago, 1 in 5 people were 1 in 5 women were diagnosed with breast cancer. So
well, you heard the statistics in Maryland again, 30,050 new cancer cases in 2015. It's only June, people. So that's saying a lot.
And these 3 people that I mentioned are people who are near and dear to me. Take a look through your phone book and just see how many people you know who are diagnosed. Every day someone else comes to me and says, my friend, sister, mother, aunt, or cousin has breast cancer. And I can only encourage them to know that breast cancer is not a death sentence. You can survive breast cancer.
She survived breast cancer.
You can survive breast cancer. It is a journey, and the journey will continue, but you will get it through. You will get through this journey.
And this is what this show is about. It's about trials, testimonies, and triumphs. The beauty of your journey is your journey. Yes. And how selfish would you be if you did not share your experience? Because you've helped somebody out here. We all go through something at times in our lives. How we handle ourselves through our journey and through the midst of the storm is all up to us. We're all going to get knocked down at some point, but are we able to get up?
Yes.
And can we get up by being stubborn? No, we need the support and the help of our families to get up. We don't always have all the answers. We do have God, and God will show us through. He will get us through the storm, but we have to first believe. Yes. Testimonies come after we've been tested, because you cannot have a testimony if you are not tested. That's not what this life is about. This life is not about cupcakes and sunshine. You're going to go through some things, but how you handle it in the midst of your journey and what you truly learn from what you've been through, that's what makes us all stronger people. And now you can sit here today and tell your story, which is amazing because you're still here.
Yes.
You're still here. You don't look like you've been through nothing.
I've been through.
That's what I said, Leah. I don't look like what I've been through.
The journey doesn't end.
Right.
The journey does not end. Even though I'm not going through chemotherapy, radiation, there's still effects of breast cancer that will live with you for the rest of your life. But as I said, you will live with these issues, and you will live,
and
you won't die.
And we're going to end there. Yvette, I thank you so much
Thank you.
going to this quiet journey, not telling anyone, to sharing your story. So that, to me, that transformed you right there.
Yes, it did.
And to show you that you need people. Yeah, people need people.
I need you and you need me.
Yes, amen.
And without God, none of us are going to survive.
Amen. And
amen.
I'm just so pleased right now. And I just want to talk about her real quick before we end. The Journey Continues. It's a breast cancer support organization. If you're in the Baltimore area, it's at the Urban Business Center, 1200 West Baltimore Street. Meetings are the second Thursday of each month. The meeting time is 6 o'clock to 7:30. Phone number 667-231-6440. Thank you so much for tuning in to Conversations with Kendell Lanice. I hope everyone has an amazing weekend. And remember, you are a star, so don't let anyone dim your shine. Can you tell people how they can reach you?
You can reach me by dialing 410-88. I'm sorry. I'm about to give out my work phone number. YM4MAN. Or you can hit me up on Facebook.
Okay, Yvette Foreman.
Yvette Foreman.
F-O-R-E-M.
F-O-R-E-M-A-N.
Okay, and
YM4MAN, Gmail, Yahoo, or AOL, or Facebook.
Okay, and Facebook, me, livingtruelivingyou.com, livingtruelivingyou-life coaching on Facebook, Twitter, LTLYCOM. Until next time, peace.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yay. Thank you so much. Yeah. I knew I wasn't going to make it through my sister's part.